Hey guys, today Jamie and I will be making cocktail buns. For those of you who don't know, cocktail buns or gai mei bao in Cantonese are Hong Kong style sweet buns that have a shredded coconut filling. They're really delicious and not too hard to make, so Jamie and I will be attempting to bake some. This isn't meant to be a cooking guide, but if you want to make this yourself, you are welcome to follow along. So when it comes to making cocktail buns, there are three main components, which are the bread dough, the filling, and the topping. This time, we will be making a batch of 8 buns. For the bread dough, we need 80 milliliters of milk, 1 large egg, 80 grams of Tangzhong, 3 grams of salt, 35 grams of sugar, 5 grams of milk powder, 230 grams of bread flour, 4 grams of instant yeast, and 20 grams of softened butter. For the filling, we need 6 tablespoons of softened butter, 3 tablespoons of caster sugar, 3 tablespoons of cake flour, 1/4 cup of dry milk powder, and 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. For the toppings, we used 1/3 cup of cake flour, 3 tablespoons butter, 4.5 teaspoons of caster sugar, egg wash, 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds, and 1 tablespoon of sugar water. Of the ingredients in this list, you might be wondering what Tangzhong is. It's one of the more obscure things that I didn't know about either, but it's essentially just water and flour mixed together into a flour paste. This is what makes the bread come out soft and springy. The measurements for making this Tangzhong will be listed in the description. After mixing in flour and water together, we put the mixture into a saucepan and set the stove to low heat. We then made sure to constantly be stirring the mixture to prevent it from sticking and burning. The mixture is done when we basically started to see lines in the mixture in each stir. Afterwards, we just put the Tangzhong in a bowl and covered the bowl with a plastic wrap and put it in the fridge to cool down. It should be ready to use when it cools to around room temperature. While waiting for the Tangzhong to cool down, we then started working on making the filling. For the filling, it's pretty simple. We just combined all the ingredients together and started mixing. This is what the filling looked like at the end. Once that was done, we just covered the bowl and set it aside. Next, we started making the bread dough. The process is basically the same as with the filling. Just dump all the ingredients into a bowl and start mixing and kneading. After it reached around this consistency, we then covered it with a wet paper towel and set it aside to proof for around an hour. While waiting for the bread to proof, we then started on making the topping. Once again, we just combined all the ingredients into a bowl and started mixing. Once the topping is done, we transferred it into a Ziploc bag and snipped one of the corners of the bag off. After an hour passed, we then weighed the bread dough in order to divide it into 8 equally sized pieces. For each one of the 8 pieces of bread dough, we rolled it into a flat oval shape and then spread the filling over the oval shape. We then pinched the edges of the dough together to make the bun. Once we had the 8 buns filled with filling, we then brushed some egg wash on top of the bun. The egg wash will give the buns the golden look after coming out of the oven. After brushing all the buns with egg wash, we then decorated it with topping cream that we made earlier. As the final touch, we then sprinkled some sesame seeds at the end. Afterwards, we put the buns into the oven to bake for around 14 minutes. After baking, we then let the buns sit out to cool before eating. Thanks for watching.